Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, Ed Carbajal, mixed martial arts analyst for Frontproofmedia.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazal, and this is the first Carbazal MMA podcast for the new year. So happy belated new year. Lots happened. It's 2017. We got new rules for MMA. Lots of new fights coming. I'm actually recording this right after the televised ceremonial weigh-ins of UFC 208, UFC's first time in Brooklyn. They're going to be in the Barclay Center tomorrow, so I'm about to have a guest on, Frontproofmedia.com's founder, Joseph Correa. I like to tease him and call him my boss, but we are a team, but he technically he still is my boss. He's very familiar. I've never been to Barclay Center, even though I've been living close to it for most of my life, but this will be my first time covering an event there and being there for anything ever, and he's actually really familiar with it. He's been there for a lot of boxing events, so we're going to talk about stuff we're both working on regarding Brooklyn, Barclays, and combat sports. So without further ado, here is Joseph. Okay, I'm talking with Joseph Correa, the founder of FrontproofMedia.com. And we got an interesting conversation, you and I, Joseph, about UFC 208. So that's kind of what sparked us doing the MMA Forethought this way. I had asked for the main event between Holly Holm and Jermaine Durandamy, who do you have picked? And you quickly chimed in with Jermaine Durandamy. I just wanted to hear why you went with her first.
Well, Holly Holm, I like Holly Holm quite a bit. You know, obviously, my base being in boxing, Holly Holm's accomplished a lot. You know, a large portion of her combat sport experience is in boxing. She's fought some of the top fighters in female boxing. I really like her, but her last few performances, it seems as though she's peaked. And I feel like her opponent is on the rise. Her opponent also has some boxing skill. I know a lot of people have seen the video of her knocking out a man in an exhibition boxing match. She's kind of big. I think that Holly Holm again may have peaked, and I think the other girl is going to seize the opportunity to beat a notable name such as Holm.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I was before we started recording, I was talking about how I was thinking about switching to Jermaine, because initially when I was making my own personal picks, and which is why I thought this would be a good discussion to add to the forethought, because I went with Holm first. I think odds makers were going with Holmes early on, and now they're switching their tune to Jermaine Durandamy. I don't know if it's because of that video floating around with her knocking out a man that I asked you boxing guys if anybody had heard of him, and I guess he's not that well known. I don't know.
He's not. In fact, I've never heard of him. And watching the video myself, he didn't seem to be a highly skilled boxer. Maybe an amateur. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But an impressive feat nonetheless. Not to say that a female couldn't knock out a male.
No.
But, you know, there is still something to be said about a female knocking out a male in the way that she did. It was a pretty substantial knockout. It wasn't something where he was knocked down and counted out. He seemed to be hurt, for real. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And she's definitely a hard hitter, and especially in that setup of professional in an arena, you know, with a referee and having it be a man versus a woman. That's definitely a win she should brag about. And I guess I can't blame folks if they're making their changes, or the odds are changing in her favor because of that. So my thing was this, and I had there's some guys from Flow Combat that I was talking with on Twitter earlier today, just about, because a lot of people have Jermaine Durandamy picked, and I want to jump on that bandwagon, but see, my thing is this, and you and I were alluding to it before we started recording, and you did just a little bit ago too. Holly Holm's quality of opponents coming up through boxing and in Muay Thai might have been a little bit better. We'd have to really do a thorough check in comparison, but just the way she works angles and she doesn't really stand still, I don't see my personal pick from the beginning before I started rethinking it is that she's going to probably drag this out all 5 rounds and possibly pull off a decision. I think she has the movement to stay out of de Randamie's range, and counter punch and counter strike, pull off a win that way and make de Randamie work. Because if you notice, de Randamie likes to occupy the center space of the rings, of boxing rings she's been in, kickboxing rings, and in the center of the cage, and she'll pressure them against the cage. And then, for somebody as lengthy as she is, she seems to like to fight from the inside, which I guess is cool. But she loads up, if you notice, for her punches anyway, she loads up a lot of her punches. And when the highlight kick knockouts that you see, it's usually when the opponent's retreating from that close space. And Holm is really good at avoiding that. If you look at her fight with Ronda Rousey, who's another fighter that liked to fight inside because she wanted to get the throws off, she completely avoided all of that. And I think if she does the same game plan, maybe she won't get a finish because de Randamie's tough, but I think she can pull off a decision, and that's the only reason why I'm sticking with my original pick. Also, because usually when I change my mind, I wind up being wrong anyway. So those are my 2 reasons. I don't know if you wanted to chime in, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, and as far as, again, boxing skill, Holm definitely is the superior of the 2. She does use angles very wisely. You can tell she's a good boxer. She's a southpaw as well, or fights out of the southpaw stance, and that always puzzles fighters. And typically in a fight, boxer versus puncher, I'm gonna go with boxer. 9 out of 10 times, and that would be Holm.
Yeah.
The reason why I say the other girl may seize this opportunity is because Holm just has looked like a different fighter since the Ronda Rousey fight. And I'm going to say something very controversial. A lot of people probably not agree with me, but I don't think Ronda Rousey is a very good fighter. I think that she had something that troubled the fighters that she fought because they didn't fight the right way. Not so much that she was so great. And not to take everything away from her, obviously to get to the top, you have to be good. But I don't think she's as good as a lot of people made her out to be. And Holly Holm proved that. She did very basic stuff to beat her. She didn't do anything special. She just did what the others didn't do. And that's how she pulled it off. And Amanda Nunes did the same thing. She was just more aggressive and got it done even quicker. So, Holm to me has just peaked. She's older. And looking at the whole card, now that we're on older, this is a veteran card. I mean, I think the average age is 31 or 32. Yeah. These are a lot of older people on this card.
Yeah, Glover Teixeira.
I really just feel like she's peaked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. First of all, I don't think what you said is that controversial, because a lot of people are kind of down on Rousey because of her last 2 losses. And it's most people believe, and as do I, that it's due to her approach. I mean, they say dance with the one that brought you there, and she switched to that Tavardian guy, that Edmund guy, who has her convinced that she's some type of striker, when her judo and her submissions is what got her to where she was at and brought the sport for women where it's at. So that's neither here nor there, though. But for this weekend anyway, I think talking about submissions, I think the grappling and the submission game of either woman is going to be the wild card in the event. Like, who's going to go for the takedown first? Because obviously they're both strikers, so they might have it in their head to see who's better, which is usually not that good an idea in MMA. I would cite Randy Couture versus Tito Ortiz. They tried to see who was a better wrestler, and Ortiz kind of lost that one because Randy Couture was obviously the better wrestler. So I don't think that's a smart way to go, to try to outskill somebody. And usually striker versus grappler, that's a nice fight. But everyone's calling this a striker versus striker. So I think the wild card is going to be that really makes the fight is who trained enough outside of their comfort zone to convince either the judges or to solidify a win by doing takedown submission, or even if it's just takedown for control and staying in top position. I think that's where the fight is really going to wind up being, but we'll see tomorrow night. The other reason I wanted to talk... What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say you did make a very valid point earlier, though, that it could be very similar to the Rousey fight. If Holm can come in and stick to a boxing game plan, and Jermaine tries to play the bully, then Holm can make it a very easy fight. If she sticks to a jab to control the range and distance, being that her opponent is rangy, if she can jab, particularly because her opponent likes to fight in close, and not use her length, if she can out-jab Jermaine and follow things up and, build her offense off the jab, and use the superior footwork and angles, she can make it an easy fight. So, don't get me wrong, Holm can win this fight. I just think that the other girl has the edge because, you fight as well, coming off of 2 losses also does something to you mentally.
Oh, yeah.
You were at the top of the world, and then you're coming off of 2 losses where you looked good in one of them, and you kind of got lackadaisical and got choked out, and then in your last fight, you weren't really that impressive at all. So we have to see how that's going to affect Holly Holm also. But, the flip side of that is maybe she's motivated coming off of that. I just don't know. I think she's peaked, and that's all I have to say about that. We'll see this weekend. And it's going to be a great fight, obviously. I, again, like Holm, I'm eager to see what the other girl can do. Female fighting is really coming along, both in boxing and MMA. I'm very excited about that. I love to see females do well in the sports. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, really. Me too, definitely. Just one last thing I wanted to say about, because you just made me think of it, with Holm and Durandamy, the coming off of the losses, obviously it looks like it messed with Holm, but I think both of them, they seem really excited only because you got to remember, this is the inaugural featherweight title fight for a brand new division in the UFC, so I think that might have just relit the fire under both of them, because it's kind of like starting with a clean slate just because it's a new weight class. So I think maybe the losses won't be in anyone's mind come tomorrow night. Speaking of tomorrow night, though, it's in Brooklyn in Barclay Center. The other reason I wanted to have you on is because you've been there, even though you don't live as close as I do. You've definitely been there more than me, because I've never been there, and it's going to be my first time. As often as I drink in Brooklyn, it's going to be my first time at the Barclay Center for an MMA event, given that the ban was lifted last spring in the sport that I cover. So it's dually exciting for me, because it's MMA, it's in New York, and it's in where I would be on a Saturday night anyway. So, but you've been to Barclays a lot. You're actually coming in a couple of weeks. You're going to be here for Thurman Garcia, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm actually excited for that, because I think I'm going to be with you for weigh-ins for that fight, I believe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But, oh, yeah, cool. So it'll be a good time. But I don't know, the energy combat sports. I mean, when by default, people when they think Barclays, they think about basketball and the nets and everything else that goes on there. So, but if you're a fight fan, then you know about Brooklyn boxing, and we actually talking MMA and boxing. The Thurman Garcia card, Heather Hardy's fighting on that card too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, Barclays. They probably don't even know it. It probably wasn't even in their game plan, but Barclay seems to have a nice, and I mean it in a positive way. They have like the crosshairs on them from the promotions to potentially be a combat sports mecca, a new one in New York. Obviously, Madison Square Garden's a big one to live up to, but Scott Coker, when I was at Bellator 163, when he talked about coming to New York, he talked about Barclays. If you read that Crane's New York article for Business, Spike TV president Kevin Kay, when he talked about bringing Bellator to New York, he talked about Barclays. And now the UFC's coming tomorrow night for the first time. And again, I don't know how many boxing events are scheduled. I know about this one because we're going to it, the Thurman Garcia, but I think that's going to be like it's got the potential to be the next fight capital on the East Coast anyway. What do you think?
Absolutely. For any fight fan out there that hasn't had the opportunity to catch a fight at the Barclays, and you're in the New York area or anywhere in the United States, you have to go to the Barclays Center. It's an exciting venue. They've done a great job with, setting everything up so that fight fans have everything they need to have a great time. As you know, I go to a lot of the fights all across the United States, and Barclays Center is probably my favorite venue of all.
Wow.
I really like it. They've put on some excellent shows the last 2 years in boxing, and they continue to just outdo themselves. A lot of the highest-rated fights are coming out of the Barclays, particularly for the Premier Boxing Champion Series.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of great fights there.
Yeah.
And they just continue to outdo themselves. It's awesome to see, and fight fans everywhere are excited about going to see fights at the Barclays Center, and I see why. Yeah,
man. I mean, people are saying this UFC 208 is going under the radar because of the type of card that it is, but I don't think they're looking. I think they're just looking at the main event and the fact that it's a new division and a new title, and are just kind of like meh. But they're not looking at the real. They're not looking at the whole card like you and I just did before we talked. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of known fighters on that card, and there's a lot of fights of interest, even in the prelims. Like Wilson Hayes against the Japanese fighter Sasaki. I mean, I am as a jiu-jitsu guy, I like watching Wilson Hayes fight. That's why I'm rooting for Jim Miller to win his fight against Dustin Poirier. Even though Dustin Poirier is ranked number 10, Miller seems to have been coming back. It's funny, 2 fighters from UFC 200 are on this card, so it's like it's weird how things follow each other. Because I was at 200 in Vegas, Jim Miller fought and won there, and Anderson Silva was the late notice for Daniel Cormier at UFC 200 in Vegas, and now he's here fighting Derek Brunson. So it's just, for me, I think for a lot of fight fans, it's a big deal. I know they said this morning that tickets were still available for it. I'm surprised it hasn't sold out. Excuse me, but I don't know. I just think it's I really do think MMA is on the rise in New York, especially just because it's new territory, and rather than there's a lot of like people that try to argue boxing versus MMA, but it's combat sports. All these things, like Frontproof Media has them, should be together and work with each other to help promote each other. That's why I like what Spike TV does with PBC and Bellator. And I think Barclays is a good example of the fact that they're just bringing in all these events so close to each other. I don't know, man. I'm really excited for it. Even the Thurman Garcia thing. I mean, once you told me that that's going to be my second boxing thing I ever cover on behalf of a media outlet. And And the last one was a Barclays fight too. It was Errol Spence and Chris Algieri. That was in Barclays, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, so it's just I don't know. I think it's just there's a lot. Combat sports is doing a lot in New York. I think 2017 is going to be a big year, for sure. So
Absolutely.
You going to hook up that Heather Hardy interview for me on Valentine's Day?
Absolutely. I will definitely. As a matter of fact, at the weigh-ins, it'll be a good opportunity for you to meet her.
Yeah.
Heather Hardy is an awesome competitor. For those who don't know her, she was about to make the crossover into MMA. Her opponent had to be scratched due to injury, but she is a fierce competitor. Brooklyn loves her.
Yeah.
She does well by Brooklyn as well. She really supports female boxing. She's a advocate for the sport, advocate for women's sport, and just a great overall person. Very easy to talk to. She's got swagger. Everything you'd want in a fighter. She's got the swagger and everything of a fighter, and she's fierce in the ring, but she's a sweetheart outside the ring, and just a pleasure to deal with. So if you don't know who Heather Hardy is, definitely you have to check her out. Very, very good fighter. She's undefeated. She is fighting at the Barclays, as you mentioned, on March 4th on the undercard of Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. Also, there is another guy, Erickson Lubin. He is from here in Florida as well, the Orlando area. He is an undefeated young fighter as well. He is a very exciting, two-fisted power type of guy. Gotta check him out. He's an awesome fighter. And the Thurman Garcia card you mentioned, it doesn't get any better than that. These guys both are undefeated, 28-year-old welterweight champions. One's the WBA champion, one's WBC. This is a unification bout. The winner of this bout becomes the true welterweight king because he's going to hold two of the three major belts. So he becomes the guy at welterweight. So pretty much who wins this is the man who can now call the shots in the division now that Floyd Mayweather's gone.
Cool.
So it's very, very exciting. It gets no better than that, like I said. Each guy brings their strengths to the table. I'm picking Thurman to win, not because he's local and I know him. It's not that. It's just Thurman has things that a lot of guys don't have. He can punch with both hands, but he's not your typical puncher. He's not the type that just goes in there and mauls guys over. He can actually box. He has exceptional feet. He has, pretty good hand speed, and he's smart, man. Knowing him outside the ring, the guy is a cerebral fighter, man, and a cerebral guy in general, And you don't really see that a lot in combat sports, and he's got it, man, and he's got that thing as well that, he doesn't care about wins and losses. He doesn't, he's a competitor through and through. He's going in there, and he's going to give the fight fans a fight. I don't know if you saw an interview with him last year, but in a press conference, he told everybody he never wants to fight on pay-per-view. He wants to fight on free TV for the fans because he believes in that principle. He believes in the entertainment value that it brings to fans, and he embraces his role. He knows he's a fighter and what he's there to do. So, how can you not like that?
No, yeah, definitely, man. Especially if you're going to save me some money. I'm in love with it if you save me some money.
But I'm saying, and he's an exciting fighter. He's not a boring fighter. And again, he can knock you out in one punch. In my opinion, he's the biggest punching welterweight there is right now, bar none. And many fighters have backed that claim. Many fighters have said that one punch can end it all. Now, Danny Garcia, on the other hand, he's no slouch either. this guy probably has the best timing in the division. A lot of his knockouts are, come off of timed shots. He's what you want to call a mid-range hooker. He stands at mid-range and he likes to counterpunch with hooks. And his timing is impeccable. He's knocked a lot of top welterweight or junior welterweights, and other guys, before that as well, because he's moved up a couple times. He's knocked a lot of guys out. He knocked Amir Khan out, which Amir Khan is, probably, one of the best guys in the division still. I mean, he's come off a couple losses, obviously. Canelo knocked him out, but he was out of his league. He was fighting at a weight he's never fought at.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I remember that fight.
Amir Khan is no slouch.
Yeah,
he's no slouch, and
he's got an interest in MMA too. He's like co-owner or co-promoter of the Super Fight League. They're the Indian promotion or Pakistani promotion. I forget what it is. They're on YouTube. They had something today, this morning, I think, actually.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. But Danny Garcia's fought the better competition is basically what I'm getting at. So that's why this fight's intriguing, too, because Danny Garcia has fought the better competition and has arguably accomplished more due to that. Where I think Danny may be in trouble, however, is this will be his third fight at welterweight, or fourth fight at welterweight, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, this will be his fourth fight at welterweight. And none of the guys he's fought have been really true welterweights. They've been like junior welterweights that have moved up. Now, they've been at welterweight for a little while, but they weren't true welterweights. Keith has fought his whole career as a welterweight. So, and Keith's, again, a big welterweight, a big punching welterweight. So Danny has yet to face anything like Keith. And again, Keith is a puncher who can move. So guys like that, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, that should be good.
It's very difficult.
We should probably do one of these for when we're together, like maybe after weigh-ins or something for that fight. Just before we close out, because we're running out of time, tomorrow night, UFC 208. So you're sticking with Durandamy, or you're changing your mind, or what do you think?
Nope, Durandamy, I think, is going to pull it out.
You just mentioned when talking about Thurman with the puncher's chance, or I forgot what phrase you used, but I think the same holds true with Holm and Durandamy. I think whoever lands the best shot could stand a chance to win it, and I agree that Durandamy has the power to finish Holm, but I think Holm can outsmart her and pull off a decision. But we'll see tomorrow night. So, all right, man, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks a lot for doing this with me, because I didn't feel like typing up a whole thing to add, so I'll embed this on the MMA Forethought for tomorrow night.
All right.
All right, man. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was Joseph Correa, founder of FrontproofMedia.com. I always love getting the guys from the website on the phone and just talking combat sports in general. We're going to try to do more stuff together. As you heard, the Thurman Garcia thing is March 4th, and we'll be in Barclays together for that. And I will be in Barclays February 11th, Saturday night, tomorrow night, for UFC 208, and we'll see which predictions and analysis were correct. So thanks for listening. If you'd like to donate to this podcast, by all means, go to theblogboardjungle.com. Click on any of the Amazon links if you're going to do some Valentine's Day shopping, and you'll be helping me out without even knowing it. You buy what you want, and a portion of the they throw me a little money from Amazon if you do that. And go over to frontproofmedia.com to see this and other recordings from previous interviews from MMA. Everything is on there, or at theblogboardjungle.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere. Again, I'm on Twitter at Carbazel. 2017 is going to be a great year. The new divisions for the women Featherweight's probably going to be exciting after 208. So lots to come in 2017. So thanks for listening. We'll see you in Brooklyn. Peace.